Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Please feel free to write me at walkwithtak@gmail.com if you have any question regarding to this video or any other video that I have made in the past. If you have a video that you would like me to make, please let me know. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. To cook food with the flavor that you love and enjoy takes some skill, but it's not difficult at all. Once you understand the principles, the strategies, and the techniques behind it, it is easily for you to achieve. Now, it is important to cook food with the flavor that you want. And flavor chasing will allow you to continue to improve the flavor of your food. For most people, creating the flavor in their dish turns out to be one of the most challenging aspects of cooking. However, it is much simpler than you realize, because you know what you like, and all you have to do is to follow your instinct to find the flavor that you love. For most people, flavoring is a complicated, almost mysterious process. And the reasons come from recipes. If you look at a recipe, they usually have a number of different flavoring agents. And most of the time, you follow the recipe, but you do not understand what is the role of these different flavoring agents in creating the flavor for that dish. The solution to this problem is that I'm going to help you to take what I would call divide and conquer approach. That we will take one flavoring agent and we will explore that flavoring agent's flavor profile as well as how it will affect different food ingredients to create the flavor that you want in a dish. For this demonstration, I'm going to select oyster sauce to be the favorite agent to explore. I will explain to you later why I choose oyster sauce. So the first step we will want to do is to determine the flavor profile of oyster sauce. And basically, you're going to do a testing of the oyster sauce flavor as it is. So all you have to do is that put a small dab on the tip of your tongue. And you will find that the oyster sauce tastes salty and it has a slight sweetness. Also, it has a savory flavor. So this suggests to you is that the oyster sauce must contain salt, sugar, and umami molecule that come from the oyster extract. So this is the flavor of the oyster sauce, and this is the flavor profile. And once you understand that, you can project that flavor profile onto the food ingredients that you're going to add the oyster sauce in the cooking process. I'm going to choose chicken for this experiment. I'm going to stir fry the chicken to the doneness that I want. And then I will shut off the heat. Now, if I have an electric burner, I will remove the wok from the burner. If I have a gas burner, I can just leave it right there because I do not want to overcook the chicken. This will give me more time to adjust the seasoning with the oyster sauce to determine the optimum amount of oyster sauce that I prefer in seasoning the chicken. The next step is for you to determine the baseline of the amount of oyster sauce that you will use to create the type of flavor that you find it acceptable. So you first, by using only a small amount of oyster sauce and you mix the ingredients and you do a quick taste test, and you will decide that perhaps you will need to add some more. So you will repeat the cycle several times or as much as it is necessary. And at the end, you will determine the amount of oyster sauce that's necessary to create the flavor that you want. To make this process more efficient as well as more convenient, I'm going to give you a couple tips. First is that to transfer the oyster sauce into a squeeze bottle. A squeeze bottle is much easier for you to dispense the sauces into the wok. And the second tip is not to measure the amount of oyster sauce that you add to the dish. Instead of visually to assess how much oyster sauce that you use. And that will provide you with an experience in the future how much to add. It is better to develop an intuitive understanding of the amount of sauces that you add rather than use a rigid method to measure them. If chicken is the only protein that you're going to cook, you can stop right here. But if you also cook other type of proteins such as beef, pork, shrimp, or fish, then you will go to the next step. You will cook those proteins in the same way, and you will try to establish the baseline of oyster sauce that you will add to achieve the flavor that you desire. The reason that you want to do that is because different protein react differently to oyster sauce. In the case of shrimp, you might need to only add a very small amount of oyster sauce, because if you add too much, it will overwhelm the natural flavor of the shrimp. Similarly, it's true with beef. You might find that in beef, you might want to add more than if you would when you cook chicken. So you will establish the baseline of oyster sauce that you need with these different kind of proteins. And this will become part of your flavor database that you will store in your mind. When you cook them, you can use them to flavor your individual ingredients. Now you can do the same thing with vegetables. Pick a few vegetables that are your favorite. Maybe start out with just one or two and go through the same process, and you can determine how much oyster sauce that you will need to add to different vegetables. And one thing, after you have done all these experiments, you will find that oyster sauce is to be an extremely flexible flavoring agent. In fact, it can use for almost all different kinds of food ingredients, whether it is protein or vegetables. And this is why I start oyster sauce as the first flavoring agent that I'm going to explore. Now, you don't have to choose oyster sauce. You can choose any other sauces that you really enjoy and that's your favorite. But in addition to oyster sauce, I will also suggest you experiment with other type of sauces. Hoisin sauce is another very flexible sauce that you can explore using similar methods. And of course, soy sauce is very much the same. Once you have established all of this, now you have a database of some of these sauces that you can use on a regular basis. Now, this is very different from recipe-based cooking, because with this method, you will understand how each of these sauces will function in the cooking process. You don't have to choose oyster sauce. You can choose a number of different types of sauces. You can use the same approach to determine their flavor profiles. Then you can decide which one of the flavor that you prefer most. Then I will choose that as your primary flavoring agent. When I call it a primary flavoring agent, what I mean is that you will add this flavoring agent the first thing when you start to season the dish. For example, for me, my primary flavoring agent is oyster sauce. So in most of the dishes, with some exceptions, I always start out with oyster sauce. I will add the oyster sauce, and I will check the flavor about the dish, and then I will decide how would I want to modify the flavor of the dish. If I want the dish to be a little bit sweeter, then I will add a little bit of a hoisin sauce. Again, you can investigate the flavor profile of hoisin sauce just like you would with oyster sauce. Maybe not to the same extent, but through this you will have a good idea what hoisin sauce is going to taste like. And then you can experiment by adding various amount of hoisin sauce to the dish. Again, go through the same process. Now you have two sauces that you can use, and by combining them, will achieve a particular flavor profile that you might really enjoy. So as you continue to build on the different seasoning agent that you use, you will have an understanding of how they will interact with each other. And increasingly, you will improve the flavor database in your mind. And ultimately, you will have a more comprehensive understanding of both the individual sauces of their own flavor profile, as well how when they combine together. But you have to remember, in seasoning, the whole is always greater than the sum of the parts. So you have to keep that in mind, because flavoring agents tend to interact with each other to create new and unusual flavor that you might not expect. And in many ways, this is the fun part of home cooking. So in time, you will add more and more seasoning agents to your repertoire. In many ways, you will create a seasoning toolbox. In many ways, you can consider that it's like the paint palette of a painter. Now you can use different seasoning agents in different combinations to create the flavor that you want. And this will become your toolkit for flavor chasing. I post a video each day to help you to make home cooking as part of your daily routine using my fast cooking system. which will help you to make your home cooking practical, efficient, creative, and fun, so you can make home cooking as part of your daily routine. If you would like to learn more about my cooking system, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. So keep on cooking. I will see you tomorrow.